Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. So good to see you all here in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Let us know where you are tuning in from. I see some of y'all have already started to be putting where you're coming in from. We have New Zealand. Makes sense that we have New Zealand representing here. Natalie, hey Natalie from Annapolis is here. Erin, Illinois. Hello, hello. We even have Copenhagen. This is definitely a global audience here today. Oh, Lisa from Santa Monica. Hi. I'm not too far from you, Lisa. Good to see you all. Gabriella from UK. Wow, we really do have an international global audience here today. I love it. All right. Hello. My name is Joanna Waterfall, and I am the Partnerships and Community Manager here at Flodesk. I'm going to share my screen with you really quick. I'm going to go over just a few logistics and a few things we want you to know, whether you're here live with us or watching the recording later. And then I will pass it off to Sim to get into the good stuff. All right, I'm Joanna. As I said, I am so excited to be here with you all today for this incredible masterclass that we have. A few things I want to go over. First and foremost, we will have time for Q&A at the end. So if you have a question that comes up, don't put it in the chat. We don't want it to get lost. There's a little area at the bottom here that says Q&A. Put your question in there, and then when we have that dedicated time at the end, we'll do our best to get to all of the questions that are asked. Okay, so please ask your questions, and we'll have time to go over that at the end of our time here today. So I am going to give you a very brief overview of what Flodesk is. If you maybe you've heard of us, maybe you've never heard of us, but we are the world's most intuitive email marketing platform, empowering small business owners with everything that you need to grow, nurture, and monetize your email list and do it beautifully because we love beautiful emails here at Flodesk and we love to make it really easy for you to make those beautiful emails. And truly, Sim will get into this, but the future is email. It has the highest ROI of all marketing channels. You get $42 back for every dollar spent, which is wild, right? There are 361.6 billion emails with a B sent daily. And in a world where brand mistrust is at an all-time high, there's a lot going on in the world right now. Creating meaningful relationships and meaningful connections with your audience is more important than ever. And Sim's going to dive into that in more detail. But that's who we are at Flodesk. And we are giving away one free year of Flodesk this week. So if you sign up for a free trial today, you will be entered to win a free whole year of Flodesk. You can use this link that I'm putting in the chat here. That gives you a 50% off your first year and a free 14-day trial, or you can use the code INVEST for 50% off your first year as well. Either way works. All right, and we will contact the winner by the end of this week here. Okay? All right. I am going to pass the mic here to our host for today. Let's give a big virtual welcome to Sim from Friends That Invest. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay. All right, I'll let you take it away.
Perfect. Well, firstly, thank you everyone for coming along. I am so excited. I love the energy in the chat already. Where I am right now in the world, I am currently in Auckland, New Zealand. So I see a few other Aucklanders and New Zealanders here. It is winter, so I am very, very cold, and no housing in New Zealand is warm. But I am very excited to talk to you all. Someone in the chat said it is freezing. Well, it really is. I'm so excited to talk about how we used emails, specifically how we used Flowdesk to completely change how we reach our customers and the impact that our business has. Because at the end of the day, I really believe a strong business is one that helps its customers, gives them the most value, gives them everything they need to reach their goals. And so when we implemented emailing into part of our overall business structure, the impact just grew significantly. So it's super exciting to talk through, like kind of open up the kind of secret drawer of everything that we do behind the scenes. We're usually quite tight-lipped at Girls That Invest of how we do some of our systems and processes. So I'm very excited. Also, Joanna said it's so hot here in Southern California. I am very jealous. I'm very jealous. But I'm excited to talk about how we went from 0 to 100,000 newsletter subscribers. And we did not use ads. There is no fuss. We just used Flodesk. So let me share exactly how we did it. Now, I personally like starting off with a like agenda. I think it's just like I was a huge nerd growing up. And so for those that may not know me, I'll share a little bit about my story in a moment, but I need an agenda to know what I'm going to be expecting because you are giving up an hour of your time to be here. So you should know what you are in for. So we'll be talking about the growth story. Someone said love an agenda, right? Like give me an agenda. We'll be talking about the mindset shifts, the key pillars that I use to grow the Girls That Invest, now Friends That Invest email strategy, a bit of a walkthrough of the exact sort of flows that we use behind our scenes, and some tips on the common mistakes and like things that people tell you in the space of growing your business newsletter and what we did that was different from that. And then of course we will do a Q&A where you can ask any question that you like. No question is too silly. And I'm always, always, always happy to chat more about that. So let's start off with the growth story. So before Girls That Invest began, I had a little bit of work in growing different social first companies. So I had a company called The Indian Feminist, and that was a large online account on Instagram. We had 300,000 followers, and this was like when I was a student, so like 2013, 2014, 2015, kind of the heydays of like growing on Instagram. I loved it, and I just was able to grow a very successful business where we went from Instagram to website to sales. So we would sell, I say we, I would sell things like tote bags and die cut stickers and merch. So I got very, very comfortable with the idea that to sell, you just had to have social media, send people directly from social media to your website, and then that's all you needed for a sale. So I actually used to believe that when I started Girls Invest, I thought emails were dead. I was like, it's the future. Why do we need emails? Like, I was not interested in growing an email list. And I remember a friend's older brother who I actually didn't know what he did. I think he like worked in some marketing thing. He was like, "Oh, you should grow an email list." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet. Like this old man telling me to grow an email list. Like that is just like who needs an email list?" I used to say social media is my email list. And when I grew, Joanna said lol, right? Like it was so um I don't want to say wrong because it worked for a while, but it was just like the wrong idea that I had. And for Girls That Invest, now Friends That Invest, what I would do is I would take people from our socials straight to our course landing page and we would sell that way. And it actually worked for quite a while. And we had a 2% conversion rate from Instagram followers to course sales. So that's quite good. And so for ages, I was like, I don't need an email list. It's not that important. And I actually thought that this was good enough. Like this is what our email list on Flodesk looked like. We didn't even have an email list in 2020. When we started in 2021, I had a little bit of a list. In 2022, it grew. In 2023, these are new subscribers. In 2023, like it just was not important. Um, and then something happened. Something shifted. I thought this was good enough. And then I realized, what if I don't control social media? Because we did a launch for one of our master classes, and what we would do is for a week of the masterclass launch, we would say, "Hey everyone, if you want to learn how to invest, if you come onto this link, it's going to take you to our landing page where we explain that we have a masterclass coming up. And that was really awesome. But for people to click on that landing page, Meta had to show them the Instagram post and Meta had to show them the Instagram story. And for ages, that was not an issue. We had really great engagement. We had really, really strong number of people that would see our content. And so the funnel was working really well. Then, one launch, I noticed that our engagement was very low for some reason that I couldn't explain at that time. Obviously, it was our content, it just was not as strong as the content that we had produced in the past. It got to a stage where people weren't seeing our Instagram story. Instead of going out to 80,000 people, our Instagram story was getting seen by 6,000 people. And instead of our posts, I think about it now. Back then, the post that would do well, it would just be a post that was like, hey, this is what the masterclass is. Come join. This is what's involved. Those were suddenly not being seen by anyone, and there were no comments on it. And I freaked out and I realized I can't rely on social media. And so that year, which was last year, this happened in 2023. So in 2024, I said, I am going to fix my email list and I'm going to grow it. And so you can see in 2024, I put in a huge effort, not a lot of hard work, but just smart work. I am the laziest woman you will ever meet in your life, which sounds counterintuitive, but I truly believe that if you just want to get something done, I love the idea of KISS, which is an acronym for Keep It Simple, Stupid. It's simple things that I did. And so we were able to gain the most amount of followers in 2024 than we had had in the entire year of the business. And so now we have 116,000 total active newsletter subscribers. And in 2024, we went from 20,000 newsletter subscribers to over 100,000. So we gained 80,000. We didn't spend a single dollar on it. It was just making the right moves, which I am going to completely like draw the curtains on, draw the curtains, open the curtains on, and show you. I think draw the curtains means when you close it. Um, Someone said wild. Yeah, it was absolutely insane, but it is okay. I'm going to give you some secret sauce. I'm going to share everything I did. And by the end, you might be like slightly disappointed because you're going to realize it's not hard stuff. I'm not going to tell you go hire 10 people. I'm not going to tell you that you need to go away and like, dedicate your whole life to a newsletter. But I will tell you it is simple steps, but if you commit to them, you will see the results. And within a year, your business will go from having maybe no newsletter subscribers, maybe a couple of hundred, a couple of thousand, to over 100,000 if you can commit to doing the work. The first sort of part of my secret sauce was actually a mindset shift. I realized that you do not own a single social media follower. If people ask you how many customers you have, I used to say it was based on our amount of followers. Oh, we have 400,000 potential customers. No, we don't. If we don't have an email list, we have zero. And your business is based on its value that it has in its email list. There is this jargon term called enterprise value, which is the value of your business in dollars of how much someone would pay for if you were to sell your business. Now, most of us don't go into business to sell it, but you should always think if something happened to me, if I got sick or if I got old or if I got bored of my business or if a better opportunity came, what is the enterprise value of my business and what can I do to improve that enterprise value? So maybe right now, or maybe 2 years ago, we had 10,000 email subscribers. Girls That Invest was probably worth like $100,000. Not a lot of money. Now that we've rebranded to Friends That Invest and we have 100,000 email subscribers, that's probably brought the value of the company up by a lot because when someone buys your company, they're also buying the email list. So think of like a bank, for example. They want to, let's say, acquire a brand like ours. They're not just inquiring, they're not just acquiring the followers because that's fickle. They're acquiring 100,000 potential customers who they have the email of. And as it was said earlier, email is not dead. Surprise, surprise. It is actually growing stronger. And if anything, this year has been a big boom in email marketing because people realize they don't own their audience on socials or podcasts or YouTube. They own them in the emails. And we figured out that if we move our customers away from Instagram onto our email list, provide them lots and lots of value every single week, and create an engaging newsletter, that when the time for our masterclass comes, we actually see that more people will buy into it and we have more of a consistent stream of revenue as opposed to being at the mercy of the Instagram algorithm. Because, I mean, sometimes Instagram doesn't even work. Sometimes it's an outage. You don't want an outage on the day that you are doing a launch. That is like worst case scenario. Another way to grow your enterprise value of a company is to have a recurring source of revenue. And while we don't have a recurring source of revenue on our newsletter, we have newsletter ads. And newsletter partnerships, we've noticed other companies are so much more likely to buy like a newsletter ad placement on Friends That Invest rather than like an Instagram post or even a podcast ad because they can see the clicks, they know it is a tried and true method, and they are actually willing to spend more money on newsletter ads than they are on other forms because even they realize that it's not as strong. So this is what we did. This was our secret sauce. This is the thing that made a huge, huge difference. And unfortunately, there's no like quick win. I wish I could be like, do these three things and 100,000 followers fall into your lap, into your email. But we realized that we didn't want to do short-term gains. We didn't want to be like, hey, everyone, like, come join this giveaway, come into our newsletter. It was a lot more of thinking about the long-term gain. And when you think about it, you do not want to figure out the like kind of dopamine hit that gets someone to join a newsletter, like, hey, join and you might win this, or join and you might win that. We wanted to focus on building trust first. And so for the first, I want to say 2 to 3 years of our newsletter, we actually did not do any ads, which sounds kind of crazy, but it was very intentional. We wanted the newsletter to be a place where people could just come and learn about what was happening in the market, and we wanted to make sure we were solving a pain point. The pain point that we noticed is that on social media, people loved hearing stock market news that we were sharing, but it was also kind of like, if you didn't see the post, you wouldn't see the news. And so you would kind of be like, oh, is Friends That Invest even relevant? Is it helpful? So we thought in our newsletter, we're going to give people all the news that they need to hear about the share market in a quick and easy way. And we're going to do it in such a way that there's no fear that this is sponsored. There's no fear that like we're scared to, talk about if Apple did something really terrible and then you see like an ad for, an iPhone, you're going to think that maybe there's a bias involved. We wanted to show that what you read in our newsletter is genuinely what we think. And there is no sign of us being scared to talk about something because, advertisers might be fearful. The next thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that we nurtured our relationships online. Um, what that meant was we would ask and ask and ask our audience, what can we do better in our newsletter? What do you like? What do you not like? Every single year at Friends That Invest, we hold a census, which we send out to everyone, and we say, hey, if you don't mind, like, can you just for 5 minutes tell us your thoughts about our business? And the questions that would come up would be like, what do you enjoy about our podcast? What do you not enjoy about our podcast? We did the same for the newsletter. What do you enjoy about the newsletter? What do you not enjoy about the newsletter? What can we do better? What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? And I liked doing that because There was so many things that I thought people enjoyed that did not come up. People were not liking what I thought they would like. And instead, people said, "Oh, I really enjoy this part. I actually really enjoy the quick news." I thought the quick news was like kind of overwhelming and not super interesting. But people loved it. And I thought people were really happy to see, by the way, these are all the podcasts that we've done this week. Click on them. People were like, oh, I don't really need to see that. So rather than having it as like a big visual, we just turned it into smaller hyperlinks. And the most important thing, the thing that I see other newsletters get wrong, as someone that also loves to read newsletters, is they were too long and they were not consistent. They were too long and they were not consistent. And what I mean by that is people would have these newsletters where I would click on it and it would just keep going and going and going and going. And I would feel quite overwhelmed and I wouldn't open them because I'm like, I don't have 15 minutes to read this all. So we wanted our newsletter to be something that you could read in 5 minutes. Very quick, scroll, get what you need. Even just scroll and look at the visuals and get an idea of the market. And it had to be consistent. It didn't matter if it was a hard week of work. It didn't matter if I was on holiday. Nothing mattered. We had to post every single week because nothing says unprofessional, in my opinion, than someone that has a newsletter that is like, hey guys, sorry I've been away for a few weeks. I haven't been posting, but I'm back. It's not, the newsletter should not be about your personal life and your journey. It should be how do I provide value? How do I provide trust? And how do I serve the readers so that they want to receive this every single week from me? So let's talk about some of the other little secret sources that have really helped. There's been three key pillars that have made this work. I truly believe less is more. Sometimes and when we started, I was a little bit confused. I was like, should we do a daily newsletter or should we do a weekly newsletter? And I kept going back and forth, daily, weekly. A daily would mean we'd have more space for ads, we'd make more money, but a weekly is more consistent. And I was speaking to a friend about this, and he said, well, Sim, if you have value that you can give every single day, then make it a daily newsletter. But if the most value you can give is just a weekly newsletter, then that's your answer. And I realized I was thinking about it wrong. Instead of thinking, what is the right amount of value? As someone that likes reading, investing news, how much news do I want to consume? I used to follow a newsletter in the financial space that gave a daily newsletter, and it was so overwhelming. And if I was away for a week, I would just have like 7 emails by them unread. And I was like, I just don't care about the business world enough to read a daily newsletter. Like it's just too much for me. And I thought about our customers and I thought, well, these are everyday women and they have like a million other things to do. They are mothers, they are workers, they have a house to take care of, they have families to take care of, they have to take care of themselves. Like we talk about self-care all the time, and yet, I'm going to give them like a daily newsletter to read. It's just too overwhelming. So we thought, how do we make what we do super concise, super simple? We don't even have hyperlinks in the newsletter that sends people to read like a full article about a company because we know that they don't have time. So why stress them out and be like, go read more about what Tesla's doing when we can just explain it in 2 sentences? They read it, they know enough to be able to have a conversation with a friend at work and be like, oh, yeah, I did see what Tesla did, and I know enough about it to have a conversation with them. Doing that every week was probably what helped us separate from the crowd and kind of cut through the noise quite easily. The second thing that we did, the second kind of key pillar, was and this was something I kind of stumbled into. We would create a lot of free resources, and they were not created to send people to the newsletter. But if they started to pick up a pace and people were like, we want this, we would then go back to that post and be like, hey, if you want this, we can absolutely make it for you. And just go to this link, sign up, you'll get the freebie, and you'll join our newsletter. One example of this was a post that I did on the bottom right here, which was a post about my vision board. I made a vision board and The post got like millions of views. And people were like, how do you make a vision board? I want to make a vision board too. So it was not something I'd intended. But I thought, well, you know what? Why don't I just make a vision board template on Canva? Make it free and able for people to like adjust and change it to their photos. So I went back into that post and I said, by the way, if you want to make your own vision board, like click the link in the bio and it will take you there. And that got us thousands of signups. And the same with ebooks. Our community love ebooks. And so it was a great way to say, how do we continue to serve people? How do we continue to give them value, but then also increase our own newsletter subscribers? And it was probably like a huge secret sauce that has worked significantly. We don't do a lot of lead magnets. I would say we have maybe like one or two per quarter, if that. Because if you are only getting people into your newsletter by trying to entice them and offer them something, then they're not always going to be the right kind of reader. They might sign up to get the freebie, and then after a couple of weeks, they might leave because they go, you know what? I'm not really that interested. I just wanted the ebook. I just wanted the free vision board. And so we notice that people that sign up because we say, hey, we have an investing newsletter, they are so much more loyal and engaged, and they will open their emails, they will comment back, they will let us know what they think. And then the group that come in from the free lead maggots, their open rate is lower, their engagement is lower. And so you don't want that to be a large part of your email list because it drags down your open rate. Now, the third thing that we did, and this was really helpful, for our investing masterclass, we would have a wait list. And Flodesk has these beautiful forms that are really super easy to make. Like this took me 30 seconds. I cannot stress that I have not changed this work form. In 4 years now, which is oh maybe less. I think the photo changed, but we would just kind of have a very simple way of capturing subscribers. So we found them where they were most active. For us, it was social media, and the idea was let's get people off social media and move them over to our email. Would be like, hey, this is a viral post. Let's go back to the post, and in the caption of the post, we would say, comment invest or comment masterclass or comment waitlist, and we will DM you a mini chats link. And so we used mini chats, which is like a software that if someone on a post comments invest on that particular post, mini chats will automatically from our account message that person and be like, hey, so glad you're interested in the masterclass. Here is our Flowdesk link to join the waitlist. And so we would use this sort of waitlist for all of our processes. If we wanted to do a webinar, we would send them here. We would make one for a webinar. If we wanted to do a masterclass waitlist, we would do it there. If we wanted to build a waitlist for like an event we were hosting, we would even this webinar. And so it was just very seamless and it allowed for instant onboarding and just made life super easy. And so now I want to kind of walk through the strategy and kind of explain exactly how we simplified it. And the best way to sort of show this, this is our subscriber growth. And you can see it's actually not consistent. It's not like every single month we have, 5,000 subscribers. Some months we have 10,000 new subscribers. Some months we have 16,000 new subscribers. And some months we barely, make 2,000 subscribers. And what this shows is actually the fact that the Instagram algorithm continues to change. And so there, when we get the algorithm right, we have a lot of people when we say, hey, by the way, if you enjoyed this, comment newsletter and we'll send you the link to join our newsletter. Sometimes that has a huge uptake, and that's amazing. Sometimes it doesn't. And we don't mind that. We're happy to keep being consistent, but this kind of shows the concern of imagine if we were trying to sell to our Instagram audience. Sometimes we would sell and be able to cover all of our expenses in the business. Sometimes we would excel and make a profit, and sometimes we might not do very well. And so the difference between this graph from the start of February, sorry, the start of 2024 from January. And what we did in the past was a meeting. I had a meeting with my team, and my team said, let's make some systems to grow our newsletter. Because until that point, one, I didn't really care about newsletter, and two, I wasn't really trying. And once we figured out what worked, you can just see the difference from 2013 to 2024 and now. What we did is we captured, we nurtured, and then we converted. So let's go through exactly how we did it. What actually worked to get these results? We've only sent 400 emails since we've started, and yet our email volume has been over 10 million. Flodesk has been so great. We've been able to deliver 99.7% of our emails. Our open rate is almost at 50%, which is really good for a large newsletter. The larger you get, the more people that you have that aren't necessarily trying to be a part of it. And the click rate is high at 2%. And our unsubscribe rate is the thing I'm most proud of at less than 1%, 0.2%, in fact, are the amount of people that say, hey, I'm not getting value from this anymore. So, what we did, consistency, we personalized it, we automated it. That was how we had the sustainable growth that you now see. Every single week, our newsletter looks the exact same. What I mean by that is the person that opens our newsletter sees it and goes, oh, I know exactly where everything is. The news is always at the top. The information about podcasts are in the middle. The weekly stock terminology is lower down the bottom. And every week, Sim and the team share what they're reading, their personalized kind of takes. Will be like, hey, I just started using this lip balm. It's like super good. Da da da, loved it. Starting reading this book, watching Vanderpump Rules. And so we personalized it as well. You get the same format. You know that there's a team behind it and it's not just written by AI. And then by using automations, which I'll show you later in this webinar with our workflow, we were able to not need as many people to grow the newsletter and more importantly, have a sustainable growth. Someone in the comments said, yep, I love your weekly newsletter, have ditched everything else. That is very, very kind. Thank you. That makes me so happy, but hopefully it kind of shows and proves that if you are consistent and concise and predictable, then people just know, fingers crossed, hopefully, that everything that they kind of need to know, you can give them in quite a short and quick amount of time. So the forms played a really huge part of capturing our newsletter subscribers. And what we were able to do with Flodesk is we were able to make them super simple. So on our Instagram account, because that's where people find us, the link that you click gives them a link in bio. So it looks like this. And down here, it's kind of hard to see, but it says Investing Masterclass waitlist or our Investing Masterclass newsletter, the first one and the second one. And those are both Flowdesk forms. So you either click on the form that takes you to the waitlist form, or you click on the form that tests you and takes you to the general newsletter form. Super high conversions on those. We see just from memory around 60 to 70% conversion. So if someone, regardless of if they know us well, they're a super fan, or they've just found us and they're not sure, or they're even a skeptic, 70% of those people will go, you know what? I do want to learn this. I do want to be a part of this. And they will give us their email and they'll give us their name. And once they're in, that is the best chance that we have to prove to them that we are going to give them value. And that's what we can control. We know we're good at that. So the whole point is we need to get super, super good at converting them in, at capturing them and convincing them that our newsletter is going to help them and help them become really great investors. So, one of the newer things that we started doing over the last year, which has made a real difference, is we have a very simple welcome sequence. And so, the idea behind it is if someone comes to your door at your house, do you open the door and say, oh, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. I'm telling you guys, it is so cold here. Um, oh, thank you, Joanna said, bless you. It's very sweet. So with the welcome sequence, if someone comes to your house, are you going to open the door and be like, oh, hey, welcome, come in, take a seat. Do you want some water? Or if someone comes to your house, do you like stay in the kitchen and then let them sit down and not even like say hi and then just come and sit and start like talking to them? That's weird, right? Like that is they're in your house. Like you need to welcome them in. And so I believe a welcome sequence is quite similar. And it's really, really, really simple. So what Flodesk allows us to do automatically, so we don't have to have a team member doing this to every single person because that would be out of control, is when they join the form, so they go on Instagram, they click on the, hey, join our newsletter, they sign in, they automatically then get an email from us that gives them a little bit of an idea of who we are, what we do, and then it gives them a structure of an old newsletter that sort of says, by the way, this is what you should expect in future newsletters, and the next one will come out on Tuesday. And so it's the same as saying, like, hi, my name is Sim. Welcome to my house. Can I grab you anything? And then you pop back into the kitchen and you start preparing, a meal. It gives them immediate trust and gives them immediate value. We then also segment our community, either by their interest or the lead magnet, and it allows us to personalize content and it basically allows us to drive higher engagement. So, for example, we did a giveaway once for our newsletter. They actually got us almost 7,000 newsletter subscribers, which was crazy. We didn't do one again because, again, lead magnets and giveaways are great for like a quick win, but they don't produce the most high quality, high engaging customers. So when we do maybe more of a boost that week where we share a lot of stories, share a lot of emails, we probably wouldn't include the giveaway people. For example, we also have people that have taken our investing masterclass. It would be kind of annoying if you've taken the investing masterclass and then on the week of masterclass enrollments, we're like, hey, 48 hours before the masterclass closes, and they're like, hey, I've already done it. And so sometimes we actually get that wrong. And if someone's not in the right segment, they get blasted and they get annoyed and then they unsubscribe. And so it's important to have segments. And Flodesk makes it quite easy. They are the first email company that we have worked with, and we have just stuck with them since 2021 when we started. And you can tell it is very intuitive and you can tell it is very easy, and it's just made for the kind of business that we run, which is we don't have a lot of employees. We just want something simple and powerful and beautiful. And so we like color coordinate everything. And so we can tell who people are in different segments, and then they get tagged on their segment as well. So, for example, we did a tool, kind of like ebook giveaway of, I think it was like a business budget, like how to budget for your business, something along those lines. And we did one for like an ADHD budget tool. And so if we were to have like a business course come out, we would more strongly target that segment and send more emails to that group, the people that have signed in to get the business ebook because we know that they're interested in business. Whereas the kind of person that's, just joined a webinar on why women are better investors, maybe they work a 9 to 5 and don't necessarily want to get blasted with more emails about a business course. So it's all about thinking, how do we make the experience more valuable for a person, and how do we make sure we're not sending the wrong email type to someone, because you don't want to bother people. You want to only send them things that are valuable for them. It's all about how do we make the experience really, really valuable. The automations as well, we kind of spoke about this earlier, but this is an example where we had a masterclass from this one post. Look at that, 2,000, almost 3,000 comments. From this, because every comment we will then comment and say, check your inbox, that means we had 1,500 people ask to join the waitlist. So we were able to, with automation, send 1,500 messages and say, hey, come and join us. Come join this form. Here's the link to the Flodesk form. They would then click the Flodesk form. About, I want to say 70% click the link and then 70% convert. And so we have quite a high engagement rate where we're able to move people away from our socials and into our email list. And if that's one post, you can imagine if we did 10, if we did 20, over time, it instantly syncs with Flowdesk and it feels really personal, but we're not spending like, you know, huge amounts of time trying to do this. And instead, we can use that time to reply to people's emails where people have asked questions about investing or reply to DMs. We can spend more time actually chatting and looking after our community instead of like, trying to do a lot of administrative work. And so the way that the automation starts to come together, and I'm sorry if this is getting a little bit like technical. I'm going to try and keep it super simple and super engaging as much as I can. I think that the Q&As will be really valuable. Is we have it on Instagram, we use mini chats, then we are able to collect the emails from it. Then we use our Flowdesk workflows. So it's very simple. We'll just say, hey, if someone signs up to this form, so a waitlist for the Investing Masterclass forum, then please put them into the, July Masterclass segment. And then when the masterclass is open for enrollment, we send emails to just that segment. And because we're providing value and we're not blasting everyone, it always, always, always leads to sales. It always, always, always leads to people going, I really love this. I'm not getting bombarded. I'm getting really good value in every single email. I'm going to sign up to this. Dawn said segmentation is so, so powerful. I completely agree. And Krishna said, keep going, we want to know, and we're all ears. Thank you, guys. I've never talked about how we do this in the past. So I think I'm so used to talking about like investing and money and finance. So sometimes I wonder, I'm like, is anyone interested in like the behind the scenes? But I'm glad that it's making sense. The final part about our secret sauce, and I would say this is probably the most important thing, is analytics. If you do not how do I say this? If you do not track it, you cannot improve it. And so we only track what's important. I mean, you can get so into the nitty-gritty, you can track everything, but every single week, I have someone in our team sort of send a weekly email, of course, where they share to the rest of the team what our rates are looking like. And so we can figure out, hey, what's working, what's not working, and what do we need to make, better. So we track our open rates. How many times, or rather, how many people are opening our emails? If the open rates are dropping, then it's either the email title or maybe we're getting put in spam. But usually it's email title, things we can control. So maybe let's make the titles of our emails better. For our newsletter, the title is actually the same. And so it's not like, check out what, Tesla is doing this month, or like Amazon just did this crazy thing, like click on it. It's just stock market tea, weekly stock market tea. And so it's that consistency. You then want to also make sure your click rates are high. Now, we don't send a lot of people outside of our newsletter. We don't really often send them to different places like read this article or do that. The main thing that we get them to click on is our new podcast that's come out or the YouTube, or sometimes if we have affiliate links for like a book that we're recommending. The conversion is probably something I've kind of spoken on already, but do they convert from forum to newsletter? And then also subscriber growth. And you can see our growth is not linear. We'll have a really great week and then completely drops off. And then we'll have a really great week and then it drops off. But it's consistently trying, even if the results aren't consistent, it's just making sure we're talking about it. And so we might get an email from the team and go, hey, It's the end of March, or the start of April, and our conversions are like we're just not getting as many new email subscribers. And we go, okay, let's put some better content together on socials, drive up the amount of people that join our newsletter, and then we'll do it. And then something happens, and we get lazy and we kind of forget about it, and then we do it again. But if you keep checking, then you can keep improving. And we've also found that we send the same email at the same time of the day, the same day. It is just all about being consistent. And we've found that our community are based all around the world. So we actually used the time that they're most active on Instagram, which is New Zealand mornings. So like 9 a.m. New Zealand morning, which is about kind of midday America time, depending on where you are, or like evening UK, Europe time. And so that's just the time that we send our emails because it is tricky for us to be able to send like a morning email to everyone in their morning because we have our customers are in 196 countries. Like it's just not doable. So we have it scheduled and we keep it pretty simple in that way. So, my top tips for sustainable growth. The four things I want you to be able to take away. Spending money on ads is lazy. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Always, always, always ask for feedback and keep it personal. And this goes against a lot of the conventional advice that you get, where people say you need to spend lots of money on ads. But I want to make it very clear that if you provide something that makes people's lives easier, then they will subscribe. Like if you're like, hey, my company helps you with your nutrition and my company helps you with leading a happier and better life because you are more energized through the day and you can spend that time being more energized and having more quality time with your family. Here's a newsletter that improves your nutrition. Who doesn't want to have more energy? I don't want to be drinking 4 cups of coffee every day. Like, I'm trying to drink matcha. I'm trying to do all these other things. If you have a newsletter that's like, hey, our company sells the most amazing skincare and it actually works. And this is a newsletter that's going to share with you the most recent up-to-date science because if you follow along with this, you will have clear skin and you will feel more confident. Like, I want to be confident. I want to have clear skin. I break out all the time. And so don't think of your newsletter as like, and I think I'm guilty of this too. Like, I'll sometimes be like, oh, I don't want to send too many emails. I don't want to bother people. As I said, I don't want to blast people with emails. But that's the wrong mindset to have. You're not sending an email to inconvenience someone. You're sending an email because it is helpful, it is useful. And if you have something that is valuable, of course people will sign up. Ads are like the easy way of growing a newsletter because you're just paying for people to come, but it's quite money intensive and time intensive. But if you're focused on building a newsletter that people want, then people will literally send it to their friends and be like, you need to join. And I think that's a much better way of growing. The next thing that people say that I just disagree with is you need a complex workflow. Again, keep it simple, stupid, kiss. We literally have a form that connects from our Instagram account. Hey, this is the Girls That Invest Stock Market Team newsletter. Put your name below, put your email below, sign up. Simple. Then we send that welcome email. Hey, thank you so much for joining. This is what to expect, and here's an example of a past newsletter, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And then we send the newsletter. And that is it. That is our workflow. We do not have a crazy, like, this person is interested in this and tagged into this. And I think one thing that I would love to do in the future when we have more time, I see a lot of businesses have like a free quiz, and they'll be like, hey, take this money quiz, and they'll segment people based off like, okay, you're definitely more of a saver. You're definitely more of a spender. So we're going to tag you as saver or spender. And when we send out emails, the spenders might get a different workflow and the savers might get a different workflow. I think that sounds like a dream and also a nightmare. Diane said, oh, yes, a quiz. I think it's a great idea, but for us, we have not done that and we have not needed to do that. And a simple workflow has worked super well for us. And I'll be honest, this only came in like a year ago. So it's quite new for us to even have a workflow. People also say you need to hire expensive consultants, you need to hire someone to do your newsletter. And we've only hired someone to help us with our newsletter late this, well, I guess this year isn't that late, but at the start of this year. But even that is more just to help us with tweaking and making our newsletter better to get from 20,000 followers to 100,000 subscribers on our newsletter. We did not work with consultants. The best person to ask is your customer. So every week at the bottom of our newsletter, we have a space where we say, how did we do? Was it great? Was it bad? Give us feedback. Again, our census that we did every single year, we would just ask people, what do you like? What do you not like? People wanted more visuals. Okay, I'll put in more visuals. People wanted more global news. They were like, you focus too much on the US market. I was like, that's actually fair. I just thought that that would be a good idea because everyone knows companies like Apple and Google and Microsoft. But now we have a section where we say what's happening in global news. Like, it's not hard. And the thing is, if you hire a consultant, they might tell you things that seem good on paper, but no one can give you the right answer except for your customer. The best person to ask is your customer. What do you guys want to see? What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? They want the value, so they'll tell you. And, even if you've got 10 people in a newsletter and two people respond, that's huge. That's enough data to go, okay, we can tweak this. The next thing that people say is like your newsletter needs to be professional, it needs to be perfect, you need to hire a copywriter. When I started my newsletter, I used to write it. Um, and before I got someone in our team to help with writing it, I used to write it every single week. This was before ChatGPT could check for spelling or Grammarly could check for spelling. And I made so many typos. I made so many mistakes. If you see our social media content, you'll see I still make typos in our posts. And I would say that even though that is not necessarily professional, it is more human. And in a world full of like ChatGPT copywriting, where you can tell when it's like written not by a person, a personal touch email, even if it's not the best copy, even if it's not professional, that is what sets you apart. People love to read what our team is watching, what our team is reading, what we're buying this week. In the bottom of our newsletter section, we just have like a random things that the Friends That Invest team is purchasing or reading or loving. And a lot of times people tell us that that is one of their favorite things that they look forward to. And I have a friend that works in the financial industry, so they're not necessarily someone that keeps up with public market news. They're more in the private market. And they're like, Sim, I just scroll all the way down the bottom. I want to see what you guys are reading. I want to see what you guys are watching. And it doesn't have to be professional. You would never see like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times in their newsletters share what the people that work there are enjoying. It doesn't have to be professional in the way that it's clean and pristine because those emails already exist. Those companies already exist. And so if you're thinking about your business, you want to say, how am I creating something that is different and stands out? And so a reminder, spending money on ads is lazy. Keep it simple, stupid. Always ask for feedback from your customer and keep it personal. If you follow these 4 tips, these are really just part of the secret sauce that has helped girls that invest, now friends that invest, grow our newsletter. And it is not that difficult. So with that, thank you so much for listening, and I will hand it back.
All right. Yay. Thank you so much, Sim. That was incredible. So much good information. Loved it. Okay. Cool. We got some really good questions here. So I'm just gonna dive in. This one is for you, Sim. Uh, hey, Sim, thanks for sharing your story. Would you start with email first, then social first in another world? What would that engagement slash conversion look like? Any ideas?
Oh, that's a really great question. I would say that in our case, um, where are you going to find your readers And for me, I think social is always the best place. It doesn't have to be Instagram. It could be X or Twitter. It could be LinkedIn. It could be like, writing a blog and having that link to the socials. But you've got to start where people are. You don't want to be like, hey, I hope someone finds my website because no one's searching for a stock market investing website, but they might be on Instagram or they might be on, TikTok, and the algorithm might put you in front of them and you'll connect and they'll go, oh yeah, let me look into this. So my personal opinion, always social or at least something that has a large distribution like other short form content.
Awesome. And related to that, there's a great question here. At what point of starting an Instagram community is a good time to launch a newsletter?
I think you can launch them at the same time. I don't think you have to wait. We waited because, like I said, I genuinely, didn't think we needed newsletters. And for me, growing the newsletter was more of a need. And then thankfully, I saw the light and I was like, oh, wait, this is like something we should have done from the beginning. I truly think we would have had like 500,000 newsletter subscribers by now if we had started newsletter at the same time that we had started Instagram. So I think at the same time is perfect.
Hmm. Awesome. Cool. All right. We have time for just a few more here. Okay, this is from Chloe. How do you brainstorm new topics to mention in the newsletters or content ideation? How do you know what to prioritize?
That's a good question. I really like this question, Chloe. I would say um, there's two types of newsletters in my opinion. There are either like more news related newsletters. So something that's like the same format, but the difference is like the news that's being updated. So like business news or marketing news, or in our case, investing news. And then there's more like opinion piece newsletters, which are more focused on like maybe someone's thought processes on a topic. So if you read like the news, you'll have the news, and then if you read the news, sometimes there'll also be like an opinion piece by someone on like, I think children should not be on social media before the age of 13, and like here's why. And that's more like a thought piece or like a op-ed or such. And so I find that since our newsletter is more news related, there's less thinking and content ideation because it's just the same format. The only thing that changes is, hey, what are the shares that are going up and down right now? What sectors are going up and down right now? As opposed to what's something that's on my mind. That's where we use podcasts. So if we have an idea on content, then that's rather than like writing a long form piece of opinion on it, I would put it into a podcast. And in terms of idea creation, it's a lot of just based on what's happening around me and my views and thoughts on that. So, for example, geopolitical tension is really big right now. So that's like a very natural, next thing. Just follow what's in your own life. Like, hey, I really am interested in like fertility journeys and such, and therefore I'm going to do some content around like the financial costs of that. So that's where I get the ideas from.
Amazing. There are so many good questions here. It's tough to decide. We sadly won't be able to get to all of them, but there are so many good ones. Okay. Uh, let's do this one from Tanya. She said, since email is growing more than ever, how do we compete in people's inbox? The story I tell myself is that people are getting too many emails and mine will just get lost in the crowd.
Oh, that's a good one. I think it's really your mindset that needs to shift first. Like, yes, people are getting a lot of emails, but they were always getting a lot of emails. And just because there's a lot more emails going around doesn't mean people are subscribing to a lot more emails. So if you're already starting from a place of like, there's already these things and mine is just going to get lost, you're kind of coming into it with more of a pessimistic view on like the value of your email. And I just don't think that that is a good place to start. I would flip the script and go, how can I provide so much value in my email that people would be so happy and so relieved to see it in their inbox? And so I guess the idea around that is also understanding like when you go to a bookstore, There's hundreds of books on business. There's hundreds of cookbooks. I don't just have one cookbook. I have like seven. I don't really read them, but I do have seven. And so people like to have a few different emails that they read for the same topic. So I'm sure that people that, subscribe to our email probably also subscribe to a few other money emails and kind of take what they need from each. And I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love that. All right. We're just going to do one more. Last one. Gabriella asks, what's something you value now that you didn't when you started? And what's something you used to value but don't anymore?
That's a good one. I didn't value emails. Didn't value emails, and I'm so glad I do now. Like, if um, if Instagram died, if Meta was like, this is not working, if everything happened, would be okay because we have an email. And having an email means having revenue. And having revenue means we can always keep our staff and our team and everyone's getting paid and we can continue to make good content. So that is probably one of the best things that we have done. And I have to say, Flodesk has made it really, really easy. One of the things I did value and don't value was funnels, just because, and it's kind of answering someone else's question at the same time, where people said they've taken courses, and the courses speak aggressively about funnels. I really believe that you can get so deeply lost in that. So, whilst I used to believe and thought I needed a complex funnel system, I realized that if I'm giving you an email and you need it, like you want to learn how to make money and invest, my email teaches you that. The funnel doesn't have to be complicated. It's just come join. Like we're having a party over here.
Love it. Amazing. Thank you so much, Sim. Can we all give Sim a virtual round of applause? That was so jam-packed with so much good information. For those of you who joined us live, thank you so much for being here. We will be sending out the recording to everyone. So if you popped in late, turns out there was an invalid Zoom link floating around in one of those emails. Speaking of typos, Sim. So hopefully everybody who wanted to attend live got to, but we will also send out the recording in case you missed the beginning piece. And if you sign up for a free trial of Flodesk this week, you are entered to win a free year of Flodesk. So I put the link in the chat right there. Thank you everyone so much for being here. Thank you again, Sim, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.